Lumada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lumada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Lumada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lumada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing.
Good morning to you and welcome to Story Time. You know what day it is when the jig is back. It is Friday. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time. I am glad we're here together. Thank you for joining in. And please, as always, let us know where you're joining in from and who is joining in with you. And of course, happy to see you already there, baby Bia and Amanda. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time. Absolutely love it that you're here with us this morning. I am excited. A great weekend coming up. Of course, we've had a wonderful week of stories here on Storytime. And of course, today we're reading Alejandra Fights Back. This one is indeed a beautiful one, coming to you from LETICIA HERNANDEZ-LINARES and the Rise Home Stories Project, and of course illustrated by a friend of us here at Storytime, Robert LIU-TRUJILLO, and he brought us Firkin's first flat top. I'm sure you remember that one. And of course it is translated as well by CARLA, ESPANA. A big thank you to them indeed for allowing us to share this wonderful book here on Storytime. Yes, this week we've been looking at kids, little ones that have stood up and fought against injustice. And today we have one shining example in Alejandria. And yes, indeed, with issues that happen in too many neighborhoods right now. Let us see how Alejandria does, and of course, see also how we can do the same in our neighborhoods. Thank you so much for joining in. Yes, it is all power to the people indeed. Thank you for being here. Absolutely love it. But you know what? If you're going to Sacramento, you better put a flower in your hair. That's my rendition of that song. So we're going to Sacramento tomorrow. We'll be there for the Green Book. Yes, this event right here. Yay! Look at that, I got it. So this event right here is happening tomorrow. Please join us, and hopefully you can join us online, but also if you can join us in person, it is in person. Yes, there's proof of vaccination that is being asked and also boosted. So please do look up for all those details. If you can join us in person, it would be great to see you there. Storytime will be there. Wonderful storytelling, and of course reading as well will be happening, and of course lots more. So please do join us if you can, but also the event will be online. So if you're far away and can only join us online, please do join us, because this event will be there as well. But today we have a wonderful story to read together. Please let us know where you're joining in from and who is joining in with you. Happy Friday to each and every one of you indeed. Let's have a little moment. Let's forget everything that is happening in the world right now and just focus on this story. Listen to this little one that is in this book today, and then we can get back to life after this. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Absolutely love it that we're here, that we can carve out a small space of the world where we can just sit and read a book together and enjoy and travel to where things are possible. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. Glad you're here with us. Yes, indeed. Good morning to you. first through the door today. How are you doing? Good morning, Storytime friends. You're saying from Seattle. How are you doing today? And it says sky that's just waking up and starting to show light. I love that picture. Thank you for these beautiful descriptions that you all are giving of the places you're in. Makes me want to move there every time. Thank you. I know that Nathan and Tara too give out amazing descriptions of where they are. Baby Bia, welcome as usual, cuddled up. I love that, and ready for today's story. Thank you so much for joining in today. Love it. Out in Seattle, yes, where the sky is just waking up and starting to show some light. Thank you so much for that. Good morning to you and welcome to Story Time. Yes, Amanda Wortman and of course Baby Bia, good morning to you. Welcome to Story Time. Thank you for joining us. Good morning to you, Bolden. Always good to see you here on the live, and you're joining in from a very snowy Vermont. Another storybook sounding description. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time. Glad that you're here with us today. Good morning to you, Bolden. Yes, this one's for you. And good morning to you, Chrissy, as well. Thank you for joining us out in Vermont. Yes, very snowy Vermont. Thank you for joining us. Please do stay warm. Absolutely loving it that you're here with us this morning. Thank you for being here. Good morning to you, Rocco, Rocky, Clay, and Chriselle. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time, and say everyone is here this Friday morning. I am so glad. Thank you, Rocky, for joining us. Good morning to you. How are you doing? Yes, indeed. Thank you for being here. And of course, Chriselle, Rocco, and Clay, thank you so much for joining in Story Time. Absolutely love it. From out in LBC, thank you so much for joining in. I'm glad you're here. Good morning to you. And of course, extensions of hugs and love and everything to everybody else that is there with you. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. How are you doing? Kennedy Kapolyo Kampamba, how are you today? Thank you so much for joining us. You say happy Friday. Well, happy Friday to you too, my brother. Thank you so much for joining us. And you say, I'm cooking in Shima with Oh, that is just delicious. Where do you get offers when you're not in Zambia? Kennedy, I need to connect so you can get me all those amazing food too. Connect me to all that amazing food. Thank you so much for joining in. For those of you that don't know, Nshima is Zambia's staple. It is everywhere you go, Nshima, everybody has to eat it. We eat it in the lunch, evening, and sometimes even in the morning. Yes, it is a full-on Zambian. That's our staple. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that, Kennedy. Enjoy your Nshima, and hopefully, like as usual, as it always happens, a good nap comes after that. But it is late in Turkey, so hopefully you're ready for bed after that. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you. Good evening to you. Oh, enjoy your Nshima. You're making me so hungry right now. Good morning to you, Amanda West. How are you doing today? And of course, Sarah and Nathan, how are you doing in snowy Illinois? Thank you for being here. Good morning to you. I am glad that you're here indeed with us, joining in on Story Time today. Good to see you. And of course, Indy, there's a nice little pet for you as well. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time. Good morning. Sarah and Nathan, and of course, Amanda West out in snowy Illinois. Thank you so much for joining us. And all the way out in Bothell, Washington. Good morning to you, Tori Gamble. How are you doing today? Good to see you here back on Story Time. Thank you so much for joining in. And of course, the amazing Liana. How are you doing today, sweetheart? Thank you so much for joining in. And you're saying, happy Friday to everybody that is joining in Story Time. Thank you so much for joining in. It's going to be a beautiful weekend. Thank you. Speak it into existence and it will be a good weekend. Thank you so much for joining in. Absolutely love it. Liana and Tori Gamble out in Bothell, Washington. Thank you so much for joining us. Rikia, Kiki, how are you doing this morning? Thank you so much for joining in Story Time, sweetheart. I am glad you're here with us today for another amazing story. And this one is called Alejandria Fights Back. Yes, do join in for this one very, very shortly. Glad you're here with us today. Thank you for being here. And of course, Betty Deshay, how are you doing today? Thank you so much for joining in. No soccer today. We do not have soccer today. we are back next week. And of course, next Saturday, we are back playing actual games. Rukia, still keeping my fingers crossed that you can make the games. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time. Good morning to you all. I am glad you're here. So, Rukia, no soccer today. Thank you so much for joining in. April Booker, how are you doing out in Orange County? Thank you so much to everybody that is joining in. The Osborns, Lindley, Jemison, and Alicia. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time. Glad you're here today. Oh, thank you for being here. Good to see you back. I'm glad you're able to join us this wonderful Friday morning. Are you ready for Story Time? Thank you so much for joining us, of course, and we're going to get started very, very shortly after this break, and we'll be back with our book for today. I am super excited for it. Please join me on the other side of this message.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda with Amanda Wellman Photography. I'm a photographer and printmaker based in the Pacific Northwest, and I believe that your face deserves wall space. Enjoy today's story time with my favorite storyteller, Mr. LaMotta.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you. And of course, please do find Amanda for all your picture needs. Thank you so much. Your photography needs, indeed. Amanda is there because your face deserves war space. Oh, yes, I love that. Thank you so much for joining in. And of course, thank you, Amanda, for that wonderful message. Here we go. Alejandria fights back. Oh, this one is a good one. And it is coming to you, indeed, from LETICIA HERNANDEZ-LINARES and the Rise Home Stories project. And of course, it is illustrated by our friend here at Storytime, Robert LIU-TRUJILLO. And this one is also translated into Spanish by CARLA, España. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. Get ready, get comfortable, get cozy. Yes, be like Pia and Amanda. Cuddle up and get ready for this wonderful, wonderful story indeed that we have today. And hopefully you're inspired by the end of it all. Here we go. Alejandria fights back. Written by LETICIA HERNANDEZ-LINARES and the Rise Home Stories project, and illustrated by Robert LIU-TRUJILLO, and translated in Spanish by CARLA, España. All right. Welcome to Parkwood. I am Alejandria, and this is my home. Home isn't just our apartment. It's the whole neighborhood. Our neighbors come from all around the world. Mami and my abuela Tita, are from Nicaragua, and I was born right here. I like to draw the people and places in our barrio, like Miss Beatrice from the bakery where Tita gets her picos, and Miss Alicia from the flower stand with her little dog Duende, and Mr. Amir waving from his corner store. One time he hung a drawing of mine in the store window. Tita and Mami were really proud. Oh, it is proud moments, isn't it? Oh, nice to meet you, Alejandria. Thank you for introducing us to your neighborhood. Teach us more. I am outside Mr. Amir's fishing raspado when I hear someone shout, Ale, Ale! It's my best friend Edgar. He was visiting his grandma in Guatemala, and it feels like he's been gone forever. What did I miss? Edgar asks. It's been a long summer, I say, and launch into the story of how we almost lost our home. Oh, wow. It's a big story right there. And I launch into the story of how we almost lost our home. It was the first day of summer vacation, and I was walking with Tita. She stopped to chat with Miss Beatrice. I ran ahead so I could play with Duende. I tripped and knocked over a sign. Miss Alicia came running. Ale, are you all right? Tita caught up to us. Hey, look at this. Another for sale sign. Miss Beatrice nodded. There's a new one every other day. The next day, I heard someone calling my name from down the hall. It was Julian. I walked over to his apartment and saw boxes in his living room. What was going on? Hey, Julian, what's up? He frowned. We're moving. My dad said the landlords raised the rent, so we can't stay here anymore. It's too expensive. I felt bad for Julian and wondered, could they do the same things to us? I wondered the same thing. Could they do the same thing to us? That night, I went to show Mommy my latest drawing. I found her in the kitchen, staring at some mail. Look what I made, she seemed upset, like she was having a bad dream. Beautiful here, she mumbled, and looked back down at the paper. I started having omogitas, that feeling of little ants in my belly. What could it be? Later, while Mommy was getting ready for work, I investigated. I found the piece of paper, and in the jumble of words, a few jumped out. Rent, increase, 30 days, eviction. Oh my. Ale, Mommy's angry voice surprised me. Don't look through my stuff. Hot tears filled my eyes. Mommy, what does this mean? Do we have to move too? We will do what we have to do to survive, Mommy said. But this isn't something you should worry about. I couldn't sleep. I had so many questions. In Tita's stories about Nicaragua, she would always say, when the people in charge tried to bully us and push us out, we got together and pushed back. It all seemed so unfair. I wondered if there was anything I could do. What can Ale do? Will you join Ale? No. At breakfast, Tita and Mami argued about the notice. Tita wanted to talk to the landlord's company about the rent, but Mami seemed nervous. I stared at the leftover milk in my cereal bowl until I couldn't take it anymore. We have to do something. I was shocked by how loud my voice sounded. Yes, Hija, I agree, but your mommy is scared, Tita said. We are not here to make trouble, Mommy said. They both look the same when they are mad. What should they do? Tita always says knowledge is power. She took me to the library and we searched for tenants' rights online. I learned that tenants are people like us who pay rent to companies that own the buildings. Some landlords care more about money than people, Tita told me. And that is true. Next, Tita and I went to an organization that helps out tenants like us. Our building is full of families who have lived there for a long time, Tita explained to the nice organizer. She had some of the coolest hair I'd ever seen. Oh. I see some of that cool hair. This isn't just happening to you. The company owns a bunch of buildings in the neighborhood, and they're trying to kick out a lot of people. The thought of all our neighbors having to move made my heart hurt. You need to get your neighbors together, the nice organizer said, and fight as a group. I began to imagine us all as superheroes, standing up for what's right. As Tita and I were leaving, the organizer handed us a poster for tenants meeting at City Hall later that week. Tita, this is how we can get everyone together, I said. Tita smiled. That's the spirit, Ale. Back home, Mommy didn't want to hear about it. If we break the rules, things will only get worse. She sounded frustrated, but also sad. Yeah, you know landlords break rules all the time, Tita responded. She sounded sad too. Oh, what can they do? Oh, they've made great steps, isn't it? Wait to find out more. The next day, Tita and I knocked on our neighbors' doors and handed out flyers I had drawn for the meeting. Some neighbors seemed nervous or even scared. Oh, yes. When we knocked on Julian's door, I handed him a flyer while his dad watched quietly. The company has done this before, I said. They raise the rent so tenants have to move or they kick them out. Then they sell the building for a lot of money. But we can fight this if we go to the meeting. Julian nodded. I guess it's important to know our rights. Maybe we wouldn't be moving if we had known. Yes. So will you speak at the meeting? I asked. Julian's dad cleared his throat. We will if you do. What? My mouth fell open. Me? I'm only 9. Tita chimed in. You are never too young to speak up, Iha. Me? I am only 9. You are never too young to speak up, Iha. When we got to City Hall, I felt major omagitas in my belly. All of our neighbors were there, and they were fired up. Tita comforted me. Standing up for what you believe in is scary, but I know you can do it. Oh, I heard my name, and it was my turn to speak. My face looked like a bright red tomato as I walked to the microphone. Then I noticed Mami in the crowd. Oh. You can do it, Ale. Oh. I forgot what I wanted to say, so I held out my drawing of the neighborhood. My name is Alejandria, and I was born right here in Parkwood. I want to show you that our home is not just our apartment, but our whole neighborhood. Mami, Tita, Julian, Miss Beatrice, Mr. Amir, Miss Alicia, Duende, we're like a big family and we want to stay here. Like my Tita says, everyone should have a place to call home, no matter how much money they have. I hope you can make a law about that. When I finished, I saw that Mami was crying and smiling at the same time. Oh. Yes, people over profit. Some of those. Some people need to be told, isn't it? Mami hugged me hard. Ale, I am sorry. I focus on work and worry a lot because it's hard to be an immigrant. Not everyone likes us, Mami. Mami had never told me this before, but I am proud of how brave and strong you were today. Tita joined our hug. She looked at Mami, and I am proud of you for showing up. Oh, yes. Mami hugged me hard. I am sorry. Ale, I am sorry. I focus on work and worry a lot about because it's hard to be an immigrant. Not everyone likes us. Mami had never told me this before, but I am proud of how brave and strong you were today. Tita joined our hug. She looked at Mami. And I am proud of you for showing up. As I finish my story, Edgar stares at me, shaking his head. I can't believe you spoke at City Hall, Ale. You're like famous. Thanks, I say with a smile. Come on, let's go. Where to? Edgar asks. The neighborhood potluck. It's our new tradition. Oh. At the potluck, I head straight for the tres leches cake. Tita shouts to get our attention. We have a special guest. Councilperson Brown is here. He speaks in a serious voice. I want to thank you all for participating in the meeting. Suddenly, he looks straight at me. We were especially impressed by our youngest speaker ever, Alejandria. People started clapping, and I feel my face burning up. Oh. Oh. Mr. Brown continues, I came here to tell you personally that we are working on the new rent rules to protect tenants like you, not just in this neighborhood, but across the city, so that everyone can stay in their homes. We all cheer. I hear Mami's voice behind me. Gracias, hija, she says. I turn and see she has a dish of her special gallo pinto. What? What for, Mami? For showing me that if we speak up, we can change things. Oh. And if you're ever in the barrio, I will welcome you and show you all the special people and places that make up our big family. Oh, the end. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. So glad you are here. I hope you enjoyed that wonderful, powerful story indeed. Alejandria fights back. A big thank you indeed to LETICIA Hernandez-LINARES and the Rise Home Stories Project. And of course, illustrations by Robert LIU-TRUJILLO and translation by CARLA España. A big, big thank you indeed. Thank you for allowing us to share this wonderful book here on Storytime. Powerful indeed. And as you know, if you're from Oakland, I don't know how it is in your neighborhoods, in your cities, but here in Oakland, there's a lot of movement happening, gentrification happening, and a lot of displacement happening as well. So people need to show up. We need to show up and be in spaces where we can help people stay in their neighborhoods, help people stay in their homes, in their schools even. So thank you so much for sharing this very powerful message to you, LETICIA Hernandez-LINARES, and your friends as well. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Absolutely love it. We've seen from Alejandria there, it is possible. Please, please let us speak up. Let us show up for our neighborhoods and indeed be the supports that are needed. Thank you so much for being here. And of course, we saw that also with Alejandria and Tita, they went looking for resources, looking for that information that they could use. Yes, information is power indeed. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime, and I hope that you go out into this day feeling inspired and indeed strong that everything is possible. Thank you so much for joining in. Glad you are here on Storytime. Absolutely appreciate each and every one of you, and also appreciate this wonderful and timely book indeed. Thank you so much. And Kennedy Kapolyo Kampamba, you say, lovely story. I love it. Yes, indeed. It is a powerful one indeed. To everybody that was joining in on Storytime today, thank you for being here, and good to see you too, Lindley, Alicia, and of course Jemison and April. Thank you for joining us as well out in Orange County. Thank you for being here, and to everybody that was joining in Storytime, thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed this powerful book. Please find it where you find books. Ask for it at your local library. Gift it to your friends and family, and people can read, and also little ones can learn about the power of showing up and standing up and speaking up indeed. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Please, please don't forget, we are back again next week with more exciting stories. Another wonderful lineup awaits. Thank you for being here today. I absolutely appreciate you. Amanda and Baby B, I say wonderful story to start our day indeed. Thank you so much for joining in. and we continue to inspire each other. We continue to learn together. And as we go into this day, yes, indeed, something to get our thoughts going, to keep us moving, and also think of others that may not be in a privileged position as we are. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. I hope that you have a lovely, lovely weekend indeed. And of course, a lovely Friday. If you're like Kennedy Kapolio Kampamba, I hope you enjoyed your Onshima, and of course, going to bed very soon. Enjoy it. Have a wonderful night's rest. Thank you so much for joining us. To everybody that is here, wishing you the very best week, and of course, keeping thoughts of everything that is happening in this world right now. I hope that, we continue to find solutions. We continue to find solutions to the many hard things that are happening, and just wishing you a wonderful week, a wonderful weekend, whatever that looks like. And I hope that you can find time to reflect, find time to relax, and just take a deep breath, or indeed even find time to take a nap if you're able. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Absolutely appreciate each and every one of you. Please, if you can, join us for some wonderful time this weekend. We will be in Sacramento for this event, the Green Book Navigating to Freedom, and this one is happening on Saturday. Please join us. It'll be both online and it'll also be in person, so please find it, join in, and get to enjoy. And of course we'll be reading there. Storytime will be there, both on the online section and also in person. We get to sing and dance and also get to share laughter together. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. I will see you again next week for more Storytime, but you know what, I hope to see you this Saturday. And also, if you want to see Storytime wherever you are, you can always go back to our archives, enjoy all the wonderful stories that we have there on our YouTube as well as Facebook. But you can also join us and join along our journey on Instagram. And now the new storytimewithmrlimada.com. You can find more information on there as well. And we're continuing to build that platform as well. So very soon, many things coming there, including a newsletter. So do look out for that, as it'll be coming very, very shortly. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Please tell your friends, tell your family, tell others to join in Storytime, or indeed to go on there and enjoy all that we have in the archives. This has been Storytime for this week. Power to the people indeed. And of course, thank you, Alejandria, for showing us the way. Thank you for being here on Storytime. See you again next week for another amazing lineup. This has been Storytime. Hugs to each and every one of you, and wishing you a very, very beautiful day indeed. Thank you for joining us. Have a lovely, lovely time. And just one more time, very quickly, thank you for joining us, Amanda and Baby Bia. We appreciate you. We hope you have a lovely time out there, and hope you enjoyed the story too. Chrissy Mitchell, and of course, Borden, thank you for joining us. I hope that you have a lovely day. Rocky, thank you for joining us. Clay and Chriselle, and of course, Rocco, thank you for joining us as well from Long Beach, California. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that you have a wonderful time indeed. Kennedy Kapolio Kampamba, and I hope you enjoyed your Nshima as well with offos. They are the best. I love them. Thank you so much for joining in. Some Zambian food right there. Thank you for sharing, Kennedy. Amanda, thank you so much for being here. Amanda West, and of course, Sarah and Nathan, thank you for joining us. Liana and Tori Gamble out in Bothell, Washington, thank you so much for joining us. Rikia and Betty Deshay, thank you for joining us right here in Oakland. Thank you so much for being here. And Lindley, Alicia, and Jemison, thank you for being here as well out in Orange County. And of course, April Booker, I wish you a very, very beautiful Friday indeed. This has been Storytime. Much love from me, and I will see you again on Monday with another amazing lineup. Oh my goodness, hugs to each and every one of you. And indeed, find some time. I hope that you find that time, that little time, carve out time to relax, take a deep breath, and then again be ready to face the day. Indeed, power to the people. See you on Monday. Bye-bye.
Story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. He brings to life your favorite a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be reading. Brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be reading.